Good morning, everyone. So, in continuation with our last class, so we have completed meaning of supply, and we need to learn about the circulars on supply. So, this is as an important area. So, look into page number 14. Look into page number 14. In 7.1c, we have a point, distinct persons. So, what is the distinct persons? 7.1c, distinct persons. So, whenever there are two registrations or registration in a state and not having a registration in the other state are treated as distinct persons. If there is any transaction between the distinct persons, it will be treated as supply under 7.1c, correct? Now, there is a vehicle that is carrying the goods. There is a vehicle that is carrying some goods to another distinct person. Now, on these goods, whether we need to pay GST, will it become supply? Yes. So, there is a vehicle that is carrying the goods and that goods are taken from one distinct person to another distinct person, it is treated as supply. What about the vehicle? Whether on vehicle also we need to pay GST. Is vehicle goods? Is vehicle goods or not? Yes, it is movable. So, therefore, it will be coming under goods. So, therefore, department asks them to pay GST on the vehicle also. But vehicle, payment of GST on vehicle is little bit too much na, because that vehicle will be unloading the goods and thereafter the goods will be returning back to the place where it started. Due to that reason, they gave a circular relaxing the GST liability on this vehicle, not on the goods. On goods, no doubt GST payable. On the goods inside the vehicle, GST payable. But on the vehicle, no need to pay GST. It can be any conveyance. Okay. So, look into that. There is Ford Limited, a factory in Tamil Nadu, and Ford Limited have a factory in Gujarat. Whether factory in Tamil Nadu and factory in Gujarat are treated as distinct persons? Don't ask me that Ford Limited is not there, sir. Why are you taking that as an example? Okay. So, assuming that it is there. Okay. So, there is a factory in Tamil Nadu and factory in Gujarat. Whether they are treated as distinct persons? Yes. They are treated as distinct persons. Now, in that conveyance, there is some goods, there is some spare parts, and the conveyance is being taken. On the goods, whether GST payable? Yes. On the conveyance, no GST. What about the spare parts? That spare parts are for further supply in Gujarat factory or for use in the Gujarat factory, we need to know. If it is for use in the Gujarat factory, then there is no GST on that spare parts also. Is it clear here? So, there is no GST on transaction between distinct persons. 2 points. Can you tell me what is it? Number 1, on conveyance, that is transporting goods or passengers between the distinct person, or on the spare parts, tools, etc., that is not for further supply but for consumption in the recipient distinct person. In these two cases, there is no GST. Is it clear? Understood? So, that is what I have given as a paragraph there. Movement of conveyance for transporting goods or persons between distinct persons do not constitute supply. Also, movement of conveyance for repairs or after repairs do not constitute supply. What is this for repairs or after repairs? The vehicle is taken from one place to another place just to carry out the repairs. Now, look into the next one. Ford Limited Gujarat to Ford Limited Maharashtra. They have a workshop in Maharashtra. So, from Gujarat factory to Maharashtra workshop, they are sending the lorry for repairs. Now, whether any GST payable on that lorry? No. So, conveyance taken for what purpose? Only for repairs. Now, that workshop in Maharashtra provides some repair services, and after repairs, the vehicle is again taken to the Tamil Nadu factory. Whether any GST payable on that vehicle? Again, no. So, mere movement of conveyance, there is no GST. However, listen, however, the workshop in Maharashtra is providing repair services to Tamil Nadu. So, will that come under supply? Yes, that will come under supply. Understood or not? So, on conveyance, there is no GST. but on the repair service provided by Maharashtra workshop to the Tamil Nadu factory, that will become supply. There are total 2 supplies here. Supply number 1 between Ford Limited Tamil Nadu and Ford Limited Gujarat for what value? Ford Limited Gujarat and Ford Limited Tamil Nadu for what value? Only on that is 25 lakhs goods, not on the lorry and spare parts. So therefore, who will raise invoice on whom? Tamil Nadu factory will raise invoice to Gujarat factory. And can Gujarat factory take ITC with respect to that? Yes. And Tamil Nadu factory is required to pay GST. Done. Got the clarity? Second supply between Maharashtra workshop to Tamil Nadu factory. So therefore, who will raise invoice on whom? For what value the invoice will be raised? Maharashtra to Tamil Nadu. 2 lakhs. That is only to the extent of service, repairs amount. Okay. And now in this case, can Tamil Nadu factory take that as ITC? Yes. Sir, anyhow, one factory will pay GST, other will take that as credit. Then what is our problem? So rather than that, there can't be any GST. Na? They want to tax the stock transfers in order to know the value of the goods that are being sent from one place to another place. So they wanted to know, mainly for that purpose only they are taxing this. But of course, it is not a revenue loss. Why it is not a revenue loss? In the other place, they are able to take that as credit and adjust it with the liability, means literally there is only loss of working capital. That is the interest cost, correct or not? So today they are paying, and later on they will be able to adjust it with the liability. Okay. So due to that reason, understood? When you come late, no, without making noise, sit. Okay. Chair noise there. Okay. See, I am coming on time now. So I expect you also to come on time. Mutual it should be. Suppose if I am coming daily half an hour late, 45 minutes late, if you are also coming late, it's okay, acceptable. So I am coming on time now, so you also should. Somehow, I am like this way and all, I am coming in bike because I need to reach here on time. Okay. So you also, I also expect you to come on time so that this disturbance will not be there. Okay. Say this. So you understood this circular? Clear or not? Any doubt with respect to this? Now, looking to the next circular. So what is that we have learnt in the first circular? So I am just summarizing this because someone have late. So for them, listen, what is that? If there is any movement of goods or persons between the distinct persons, so on that conveyance there is no GST. Same way, spare parts or tools which are sent from one distinct person to another distinct person, no GST if that spare parts are for consumption in the other distinct person, not for further supply. If that spare parts are for further supply, then it will become supply. Understood or not? Then if the goods are taken from one distinct person to another distinct person, on that goods, definitely GST will be payable. But what if a lorry is going empty for repairs, etc., then in that case there is no GST. However, when they provide the repair service, for that repair service GST is payable. That is what we have seen in this. Now look into the next circular, that is printing activity. In a printing activity, there are two elements. Number one, paper material, okay, and number two, that is printing, okay. So now you got a book in your hand, a color book, so that needs to be printed. So what I would have done, I would have sent the soft copy PDF. So what printer will do? He will be purchasing the paper and ink, and that is material, goods element, and he will do the printing, okay, sequencing, because the printing will not happen in A4. The printing will happen in a dummy size, that is in a single paper there will be 4 pages. So that they need to properly fold, cut it and bind it and give the book to you, correct or not? So this job is service, printing, okay. So now, is it goods or is it services is the question. It's a composite supply actually. So printing of books or printing of brochures, etc., it's a composite supply. There is both goods element and there is both service element. And what constitutes principal supply? Based on that, we need to decide whether it is supply of goods or supply of services. That is the clarification given by CBIC. What constitutes principal supply? Now in this, what constitutes principal supply? Printing or paper and ink? Printing, correct or not? Suppose if there is a paper and there is some ink on that paper also, you will not be definitely taking this, na? You understood or not? So the printing, it should be like a book properly, then only you will take. In that also, no, suppose if there is a small damage also, so what students will do? Because, I don't understand something. Why CA students, CA final students will have this much of anger, I don't know. Maybe in the place where they are showing, they are not showing, and on sometimes they will be showing on me. One student ordered for this revised book, and in that revised book, the bind is not proper. Somewhere the, back side that came out, okay. But book is proper only because it is done as a thread binding. So you can see that. So the first page, cover page alone, it was loose. That student has spent 30 rupees for spiral binding. For that he sent one big mail. So stating that you are collecting 650 rupees, don't you have sense to make a book properly? So as if I am sitting and I am binding. How would I know? So therefore he has taken left, right, center, me on ride. So mail after mail, and I don't have time to even reply that. And then I replied, sorry sir, tell me what can I do? He said, you give me the 30 rupees what I have paid. Okay, is it okay if I GPay? Yes. So I paid that 30 rupees. You understood or not? Therefore, then only, after a big nuclear war, how the peace will arise, like that it was for me. So how many times you will be irritated by your principal, but there you will not show your anger, but you will show in a different place. Understood? This is known as catharsis in psychology. Good only. So because you have to vent out in one place, so fine, we will be taking it. But what I am trying to convey is that, so if there is any damage in the book, you will not take now. Then what constitutes the principal supply? Printing only. Printing only. Suppose papers are changed. Page number 1, then page number 4, then page number 2. What will you do? No, I don't need this book. Take this book, like that you will throw. Correct or not? So therefore, printing constitutes the major supply or principal supply. Then material and ink is what? So just the ancillary. So therefore, it should be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. Supply of service. Understood? Then in some restaurants and all, you will be seeing tissue papers wherein the restaurant logo will be printed on that. Now in that case, what constitutes the principal supply? That paper, tissue is goods, the printing is the service. Now what constitutes principal supply there? Tissue paper only. Just because a hotel name is printed, so that won't we wash and clean our hands? Yes, na? Hotel name printed, whatever, hotel name printed or hotel name not printed. So whatever purpose for which we use the tissue paper, for that only. Because hotel name is printed, we will not fold and safely keep in our pocket. Definitely no. So therefore, what constitutes principal supply there is only the paper. So therefore, it will be coming under goods. So therefore, we need to classify on case to case basis as to what constitutes principal supply. You can see there, paper constitutes principal supply. Example, tissue papers, envelopes, letterheads, etc. All these places, the paper is only the main cost, the printing is just the ancillary. So therefore, it will be classified as goods. The entire transaction or entire printing activity will be classified as goods. Suppose if printing constitutes the principal supply, books already I gave you, then magazines, then flyers, brochures, etc. So in that case, what constitutes the major supplies or principal supplies? Printing. So therefore, it will be classified as supply of services. Is it clear? So what is generally principal supply means? That supply which constitutes the predominant element in the transaction. Okay. because in composite supply also we have come across principal supply. So what is principal supply means? The predominant element in the supplies is known as principal supply. Okay. What if principal supply cannot be identified? What if principal supply cannot be identified? Then will it be treated as composite supply? No, it will not be treated as composite supply. It may become mixed supply or individual supplies. Okay. Then look into the next area, tenancy premium, taxability of tenancy premium. Mark it as very, very important. First, we need to understand the renting of immobile property taxability. Yesterday I told you that renting of immobile property, if it is for residential purpose, it is exempted; for commercial purpose, it will be taxable, etc. Now look into this discussion first, because the tenancy premium is connected to the taxability of the rent. The tenancy premium, taxability of the tenancy premium is connected to taxability of the rent. What is tenancy premium? We will discuss later. So first we are completing the taxability of rent. So property, immobile property is divided into two: residential property and commercial property. How do we know whether it is a residential property or commercial property? No, that is renting purpose. The property type I am asking. The property type. What is this property type? How do you know it is a commercial property? That is, only when they give it on rent you will know that it is a commercial property or residential property. That is wrong. Actually, at the time of construction itself, we need to take an approval. So as to what type of construction we are making, say at the time of construction itself for this, they would have taken an approval that, so they want to construct a commercial complex. So which means that it is a commercial property. At the time of construction itself, we will take an approval. Without approval, can we do construction? No. So we need to take approval. So when we take approval, they will ask what type of property you want to construct there. So residential house or apartment or a commercial complex we will tell, or hotel. So then we will be able to identify whether the type of the property is commercial property or residential property. Is it clear or not? So from where we will be able to get? From the plan. From the plan, approved plan, we will be able to identify whether the property is a commercial or residential. Now, suppose if it is a residential property, that may be given for commercial purpose as well as residential purpose. Can house be given for commercial purpose? Yes. Example? Hostel. Super. So much you would have faced. So good. So hostel is an example. Commercial, residential property given for commercial purpose. Then CA office, amazing here. That's what I wanted to tell, because majority of the chartered accountants, anyhow they don't have to do branding and all for their business. That is a professional misconduct. So therefore they will be taking a house, and that house itself they will convert into office. So therefore this will be coming under residential property used for commercial purpose. Even doctors also. Doctors' clinics also will be in a house. So therefore that will be coming under residential property given for commercial purpose. If residential property given for residential purpose, then it is fully exempted. If residential property given for commercial purpose, then it will be taxable. Now you may get a doubt. Sir, hostel residential purpose only na sir? Then why are you telling it as commercial purpose? It is for stay only na. Is that stay permanent or temporary stay? Temporary stay. You may stay permanently, that's a different story. But actually the stay there will be temporary. The intention to stay there is temporary, correct or not? Yes or no, yeah? Because when we come for CA course, till the time we complete the CA course, we will not be leaving. You understood? So like that only here, I came here like that only. That is in 2007, like that, I came to Chennai. And I stayed in mansion, then I started my teaching career, and I got married, and I permanently got settled. So actually I did not born here, so but I settled completely here. You understood or not? So therefore I stayed in one mansion for around 4 years. 4 years in one mansion only. In Triplicane one mansion is there by name Sri Krishna Guest House. So there only I stayed for 4 years. In that small room wherein 3 sharing, okay. So morning class and all, I used to run and come without bathing, because other idiot will be bathing there. I will not have time there, okay. So I have to take that 45 A 45 bus. I have to come to that Mylapore Fine Arts College, and there I need to attend Sarana Prasad sir's class. Arey yaar, you don't know. So permanently we will stay here, but then also it is called as temporary stay only. You understood or not? So therefore the intention to stay is relevant here. Intention to stay is relevant. If the intention to stay here is temporary, intention to stay in the property is temporary, that's not called as a residential purpose. Clear or not? So here residential purpose means what? Usually we take a house on rent for 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, we take a house on rent and we stay there. Now that will be called as intention to stay permanent. That is only residential purpose, and that rent is exempted. Clear? Then look into the commercial property. So far what we have discussed, the type of property is divided into two: residential property, commercial property. Residential property for residential purpose exempted, residential property for commercial purpose will be taxable. Now what if it is a commercial property, that is at the time of plan construction itself the approval is for commercial purpose. Now it is given for commercial only, no doubt taxable. What if it is given for residential, that is temporary stay? What if it is given for residential, that is temporary stay? That is hotels giving that room for accommodation, temporary stay, correct or not? Now in this case what it will be? Taxable or not? Taxable, no doubt taxable, but there is a small exemption there. Less than or equals to 1000 rupees per day or equivalent is exempted. Okay, less than or equals to 1000 rupees per day or equivalent is exempted. Greater than 1000 rupees per day or equivalent, fully taxable. What is this equivalent? Sometimes we stay for 10 days as a package tour. 10 days we are staying in that place. So 10 days means you need to see how much we pay for the 10 days divided by 10 days. So then you will know the equivalent number. That's why they gave the word equivalent. Is it clear? Sometimes we will not pay per day. Sometimes we will pay for 1 week, or sometimes 30 days. Hostels and all we pay on 30-day basis, correct or not? Now say you are staying in a hostel, and whether per day or equivalent is less than or equals to 1000 or more than 1000? Definitely less than or equals to 1000. How much you are paying? 30,000 are you paying? No, na. Hostel fees are you paying 30,000? Definitely no. Maybe maximum 10,000 rupees. So 10,000 divided by 30. What is the average? Less than or equals to 1000. Sir, why 30? Sir, why not 31? Okay, you do 31 also. In 1 month you do 31 also. Then also it will be less than or equals to 1000. Na? So therefore hostel fees is exempted. If any hostel is charging you GST, let me know. Okay. It's a deal between us, so that whatever money that we are getting, 50-50 we will share. You understood or not? Okay, done? So I don't think so anyone is collecting GST on hostel, and reason simple, the same equivalent point. So per day less than or equals to 1000, then it will be exempted. Now listen, what if there is a CA coaching center which is providing the CA coaching and also offers the hostel facility? Now in this case what we need to do? Composite supply? No, it's not a composite supply. Then everyone who studies there should stay in hostel. Everyone who studies there should stay in hostel, then only it will be composite supply. So it is not a composite supply. Then it is not even mixed supply. Why it is not even mixed supply? There is no single price. We pay separately for the coaching, we pay separately for the hostel. So then we need to treat it like individual supplies. So CA coaching will be taxable and the hostel will be exempted. You understood? Then what if the value exceeds 1000 rupees per day? Fully taxable or only the differential amount is taxable? Entirely taxable. You understood that chart? Yes. Now let's try to understand what is this tenancy premium. Now this discussion is actually coming in exemptions. This discussion of renting of immobile property actually comes in exemptions. I just discussed it here because to understand the taxability of tenancy premium we need to know this. Okay. So now first, what is tenancy premium, that we need to see. Tenancy premium is a situation where I transfer the tenancy right, for which I will be collecting some amount towards transfer of the tenancy right. So can we transfer tenancy rights? So generally it is not possible in many states. Right now only in one state this possibility is there, that is in Maharashtra. Transfer of tenancy rights is possible. It is widely being done in Maharashtra, that to Mumbai. The problem in Mumbai is that Mumbai 3 sites is completely blocked. You cannot expand. So because of the Western Ghats, the hills, and on the other side water, sea, and yet another side, again there is no land that is available for expansion at the end there, and thereafter the other area that goes into a different territory. So therefore due to that reason, that is outside Mumbai, then that will be Thana. So therefore due to that reason, there the cost will be high and the rental cost will be like what? Suppose if you take a small premises of this size, for this itself 1.5 lakh, 1,75,000, like that will be payable. So the cost will be huge, and there the property owner wanted a lock-in. Reason being, tenant will come, stay for 3 months, then he will leave. Again he need to find another tenant. You understood or not? So he don't want that problem. So therefore property owner prefers a lock-in. Even tenant also prefers a lock-in. What is this lock-in? That is, say for 3 years the property owner should not ask the tenant to vacate the property, and the rent will be agreed. So first year this much, second year this much, third year this much, like that it will be agreed. Because what will happen, say you have taken one property, and because of the competition, what your competitor will do, competitor will speak to the property owner, offers 10,000 extra rent or 20,000 extra rent, then automatically, so he will make you to vacate this property, then your business gets affected. There are many businesses where property, that is the place, makes sense. Will you agree with me? Restaurants you take, so they would have generated a business and everyone would have known that this place there is a restaurant. By default in that place, when you start another restaurant also, so some business will automatically flow in, correct or not? So due to that reason, what property owner and tenant will do, they enter into a rental agreement, a tenancy contract, that will be a lock-in contract. So now either the property owner can ask the tenant to vacate the property, but for which property owner will pay a tenancy premium to the property, that is to the tenant, for vacating the property or to cancel the tenancy contract. Is it clear? Same way, tenant can transfer the tenancy right to another tenant, and for which he will get a tenancy premium. Out of that he will be sharing some amount with the property owner. So I am taking that example first. So I am the property owner, you are the tenant. So we had a lock-in contract for a period of 3 years. So now after 1 year you wanted to vacate the property, but if you vacate the property you need to pay a huge sum of money to me. So what you are doing, you are transferring the tenancy right to another tenant. Is it clear? But when you transfer the tenancy right to the other tenant, so you would have made some expenditure to create a conducive environment. So due to that reason, so you will be collecting some premium from that person. Is it clear or not? And that person also, now he don't have to enter into a lock-in for 3 years, just 2 years, that too at a lesser rent as agreed in the original tenancy contract. At what rate I agreed with you, that rent only even the next tenant, tenant 2 also will pay to me, correct or not? But suppose if I go directly with the tenant 2, this is not the rent at which I will be offering him. Reason being, I don't know whether you have observed in residential property itself. Suppose if one person has vacated the property, and if you are asking, so that person will say, so the last tenant paid 15,000 rupees, you pay 16,000 rupees. I don't understand why. When the last tenant paid 15, I should also pay 15 only, na? But he will be expecting an increase. You understood? And in commercial property, needless to say, if the last tenant is paying somewhere 30,000 rupees, they will ask 40,000 rupees. You understood or not? So therefore, the tenant 2 will be getting the same old rent, which means the tenant 2 is at a advantage. So therefore, your tenant 1. So therefore, the tenant 2 will give you some premium for these advantages, that premium which you are collecting is known as tenancy premium. Is it clear? So read that. Tenancy premium arises in a situation where there is a lock-in rental agreement. Tenancy premium equals to amount collected by tenant for transfer of tenancy right to another tenant or renouncement of tenancy right by the property owner. This renouncement not yet discussed. Transfer of tenancy right we discussed. Tenancy premium received by tenant is always taxable irrespective of the nature of the property. So let it be a residential property, let it be a commercial property, let it be residential property for residential purpose, commercial property for residential purpose, whatever it may be. So definitely it will be always taxable. Okay. So look into the next page. Illustration 2, you can see. Don't compare previous book and this book. Definitely I would have added lot of things. See there. Property owner, tenant A and tenant B. So property owner made a lock-in agreement for 3 years with tenant A, and tenant A transfers the tenancy right to tenant B, for which tenant B paid a tenancy premium of 80,000 rupees. This 80,000 rupees will always be taxable in the hands of whatever may be the type of property. Is it clear or not? Why tenant B will pay 80,000 to tenant A? For the advantage what tenant B will be deriving. Okay. So now tenant A will give some security deposit and rent. So whether that security deposit will be consideration or not consideration? Why? Very good. It's a refundable security deposit, not treated as consideration. What about that rent? Depends. Already we have seen. Depends upon the type of property. So taxable based on above chart. Clear? Understood? Then, now the property owner may keep a clause in the tenancy contract. If tenant A transfers the tenancy right to tenant B, out of the tenancy premium received, a percentage should be shared with the property owner, like that a clause may be kept. You understood or not? That is subletting, some premium received should be shared with the property owner. Like that, if tenant A is sharing 32,000 rupees with the property owner, please see that. If tenant A sharing 32,000 with the property owner, okay. So then with respect to that 32,000, will it be taxable in the hands of property owner? If the rent against that property is taxable, this tenancy premium also taxable. If the rent against that property is exempted, this tenancy premium also exempted. Is it clear or not? If the rent with respect to that property is taxable, tenancy premium also taxable. If the rent against that property is exempted, means what? Residential property. So then even the tenancy premium received is also exempted. So when it comes to property owner who is receiving the tenancy premium, we need to tax it based on the rent. Is it clear or not? Whereas the tenant receiving the tenancy premium will always be taxable, whatever may be the type of property it is. Is it clear? Then next, what is this renouncement of tenancy right? Now property owner will come to the tenant and say, you stayed for 2 years and I wanted to cancel the contract. So now tenant A will say, fine sir, you cancel the contract, it's okay, but give me a tenancy premium because I am vacating 1 year early. So therefore I need a tenancy premium. So that tenancy premium which is received by tenant A, that tenancy premium which is received by tenant A will be taxable or not? Always taxable irrespective of the nature of property. Is it clear? Always taxable irrespective of the nature of property. So renouncement, that is known as renouncement of tenancy right. Understood or not? So what is transfer of tenancy right? One tenant to another tenant. What is renouncement of tenancy right? Cancelling the tenancy contract before the contract expires is known as renouncement of tenancy right. Understood? So that is this. Please see that point. Tenancy premium amount collected by tenant for transfer of tenancy right, for transfer of tenancy right or renouncement of tenancy right. Tenancy premium received by tenant always taxable, but tenancy premium received by property owner is taxable if rent with respect to such property is taxable. Understood? Got the clarity? Then, now we need to understand when an agent will be acting on behalf of principal. The del creditor agent we will see later. So come to point number 7. When an agent will be treated as agent acting on behalf of principal, why we need to know this? In 7.1c, what is the last point? DRIP. P is what? Principal agent transaction. Any transaction between principal and agent, either principal to the agent or agent to principal, will become supply only when the agent is acting on behalf of principal. If the agent is not acting on behalf of principal, then between them, if there is any supply of goods, that will not be treated as supply. Is it clear? When an agent will be acting on behalf of principal, if it is a sale transaction, the agent should raise the invoice to the buyer. When agent raises the invoice to the buyer, agent is not disclosing the principal. Agent is raising invoice in his name, then agent is not disclosing the principal. The day when agent is not disclosing the principal, then agent is acting on behalf of principal. Is it clear or not? Suppose if invoice is directly raised by the principal to the buyer, then agent is not acting on behalf of principal. Okay, so look into that example. First is sale transaction. There is a principal, there is an agent, and there is a buyer. So principal is sending the goods to the agent, agent is sending the goods to the buyer. That is fixed, no change in that. Principal is sending the goods to the agent and agent is selling the goods to the buyer, no change in that, that is fixed. Okay. Now, who raises the invoice? Who raises the invoice? Principal raises the invoice to the buyer. Point number 3 you see. Principal raises the invoice to the buyer. When principal raises the invoice to the buyer, whether that agent is called as acting on behalf of principal? No. Look into point number 4. The agent is not acting on behalf of principal. Is it clear? When principal is raising the invoice to the buyer, agent is not acting on behalf of principal. Now when principal is sending the goods to the agent, will it be supply or not a supply? Agent is not acting on behalf of principal. Agent is not acting on behalf of principal. Now when principal sending the goods to the agent, will it be supply or not a supply? Not a supply. Now agent giving the goods to the buyer, supply or not a supply? Not a supply. There is only one supply between principal and the buyer, and that will be supply under 7.1a. Okay. Now what if agent raises the invoice to the buyer? See there, point number 5. Point number 5. What if agent raises the invoice to the buyer? Okay. So then agent is acting on behalf of principal. Now when principal is sending the goods to the agent, that will become supply under 7.1c. Very good, 7.1c. So therefore principal should raise invoice to agent, and agent already raises invoice to the buyer. So that will be supply under 7.1a. So agent to buyer supply under 7.1a, principal to agent supply under 7.1c. So there will be 2 supplies in this case. Is it clear? So in a sale transaction, when agent will be acting on behalf of principal, if invoice is raised by agent in his name. Clear? Now in both the situations, whether invoice is raised by the agent to the buyer or invoice is directly raised by principal to the buyer, in both the situations, agent will get a commission. On that commission, agent is required to pay GST. That will be supply under 7.1a, supply of service, correct or not? So about that we are not discussing here. Here we are talking about goods. But in both the cases he gets a commission. On that commission, GST is payable by agent, treating it as supply of service under 7.1a. See the note. Understood here? Okay. Then next, can the agent be a purchase agent also? Sales agent, usual. Consignment agent, you would have studied long back, consignment agent. So what about a purchase agent? What they will do? They will do the procurement. They will do the procurement, okay. So they will be able to purchase at a lesser price, and the bargaining power of the buyer will be high. So because of their contacts, and because of their bargaining power, so they will be able to buy at a lesser rate. So that's the reason why so many corporates will outsource the job of purchase to some agents, purchase agents, okay. And according to me, so girls are the best purchase agents. Yes, out of my experience I am telling. The way my wife bargains, no one, because in Pursavakam lot of footwear shops are there, and she went and purchased some 5 pairs of footwear, okay, matching for the sake of matching, 5 pairs. We and all 1 pair, that to 4 years, 5 years we will use the same. If it is torn also we will stitch that and we will be using. And that 5 pairs, so he said 400 rupees. I thought 5 into 400, 2000, maybe 200 rupees I can ask. She said you keep quiet. And she got at 150 rupees per pair. Yaar. Where is 400? Where is 150? 1 hour she bargained. She said, okay madam, you take for free. Like that he said. Then she paid, okay, take 150 rupees, and she brought that. So then after, I am not at all going for any kind of shopping. So you go, you are the best person, you buy whatever you like, you come. How much money you want, tell me, I will give, okay. So this is like amazing, no? So like that, what happens in corporates, they will not be able to have that bargaining power. So contacts will not be there. So unnecessarily the materials will be purchased at a higher rate. So they will be appointing some agents. So these agents will be doing the procurement and giving it to them for manufacture. Is it clear? Now, in this background, when an agent will be called as acting on behalf of principal, when an agent will be called as acting on behalf of principal, in case of sale, the invoice is given by the agent in his name. So in case of purchases, the invoice should be in the name of the agent. Easy? Okay. So look into that. There is a customs port. To that customs port, the goods are being imported. There is one foreign seller, and there is a customs house agent in Tamil Nadu, and there is an importer in Telangana. So the importer in Telangana appoints a customs house agent to clear the goods from the customs port and deliver it to the importer. So number 1, goods are taken from customs port by CHA, and CHA delivers the goods to the importer, okay. Now in this case, the invoice of the foreign seller is in the name of importer. The invoice of the foreign seller is in the name of importer. Whether the agent is acting on behalf of principal, no. So now when CHA is sending the goods to the importer, will it become supply or not a supply? Not a supply. There is only one supply, that is import of goods. That too covered under customs, not under GST. Correct or not? Then suppose if invoice of the foreign seller is in the name of CHA, so that is the CHA, customs house agent is not disclosing the importer, the customs house agent is doing the clearances in his name. Now in this case what will happen? Because many times it so happens that so CHAs will be doing import in their name, and they will pay customs duties, complete all formalities, and then they will hand over the goods to the importer, okay. So then in that case invoice is in whose name? CHA's name. Whether CHA is acting, the agent is acting on behalf of principal, yes. So now when the CHA is sending the goods to the principal, will it become supply or not? Yes, that will become supply under 71A, because the agent is acting on behalf of principal. No, sorry, 71C, sorry. 71C, because there is no consideration, so that will become supply under 71C, because the agent is acting on behalf of principal. Then what about import? See, that is covered under customs, okay. So in the first case, who will pay customs duty? Importer. In the second situation, who will pay customs duty? CHA will pay customs duty, and in turn recover that customs duty from the importer. So that will come under pure agent, okay, pure agent expenditure, which we will learn in valuation, okay. So right now you need to understand that is it supply or not a supply. So it is supply under 71C if the invoice is in the agent's name. Now here also this agent, both situations, agent CHA will get commission, that will be treated as supply of service under 71A. Now, so this discussion so far what we have made can be summarized into 2 points. Point number 1, So when principal agent transaction will become supply 71C. Agent acting on behalf of principal. Clear? Second point. When agent will be called as acting on behalf of principal. Sale transaction, invoice by agent. Purchase transaction, invoice in agent's name. Clear? Can you remember this much at least? So 71C principal agent transaction will become supply if the agent is acting on behalf of principal. Then when agent will be acting on behalf of principal, divide into two: sale transaction, purchase transaction. Sale transaction, invoice by agent in his name, and purchase transaction, invoice in agent's name. Done. Then come back to the del creditor agent circular, point number 4. See, you listen to these classes up to 24th. Our batch will go, that is planned for 10 days. I will complete by 24th. If not, maximum that 1 day buffer also is there. 25th is also there, because some other class is starting from 26th. Okay, auditing is starting from 26th, so that 1 day buffer is there, but I will try to complete by 24th itself. And I am taking 3 days a rocket revision session in my YouTube. Okay, that is on 28, 29, 30. At the time you might have some other classes. If you are free, you can attend. Otherwise, you can attend some other class. But these 3 days, approximately 12 hours to 15 hours, last minute revision content will be there in the YouTube. Okay, I have been doing this for the last 4 attempts. This is the 5th attempt for which I am doing. Okay, now that video, what you need to do is that you need to revise once. 1 day before the exam, you need to start with 1.5 speed and 12 hours content. You will be able to complete it in some 9 hours. So morning you can start, by evening it will be over. So that will be sufficient. You go for the exam, happily you can write the exam. So this is proven for many students. Lot of students, they said we studied only this and we completed, but the fact is, if you study only that, you will not complete. So that is, maybe the student could not understand how they got these marks, surprisingly like that. So for which they will be messaging me telling that because of you only sir everything happened. Not that, they already studied, but this will help them for revision in the last minute. So therefore when they are writing, they feel like from this only everything came. Nothing like that. Already they would have put the efforts. Okay, so that's what I am telling to you also. You listen to these fast track classes, and thereafter that last minute revision is also there. You can revise that before going to the exam. That will be sufficient for you. Okay, so this del creditor agent concept, you see, del creditor agent, who is a del creditor agent generally? Who is a del creditor agent generally? The one who bear the risk of bad debts. Long back sir, in foundation we cleared 10 years, 20 years before itself. So why are you asking us now? So that is, listen, whenever del creditor agent comes into the picture, he makes the payment to the principal and he recovers it from the buyer at a later point of time. First sale will happen. The sale will happen. Compared to a normal agent, the del creditor agent, normal agent also will sell, will collect the money from the buyer, remit it to the principal. Del creditor agent also will sell. Only when he sell, he will make the payment to the principal. But the slight difference is that del creditor agent will not receive the money from the buyer now. He will be offering a credit period to the buyer, and del creditor agent will pay it to the principal. Is it clear? So which means, who is offering the finance facility to whom here? Del creditor agent is offering the finance facility to the buyer, not to the principal. So he will make payment to the principal now itself. He is going to collect it from the buyer at a later point of time. So he is giving a finance facility to the buyer, for which he will be getting a interest. This point you would not have studied in foundation. Which point? That interest point. So because del creditor agent is giving a credit facility to the buyer and collecting it late, So therefore, del creditor agent along with the sale consideration will also be collecting a interest. Whether that interest is taxable or exempted, we need to understand, because in entire GST interest will come in two places. Interest on loans, advances, deposits exempted. Interest on account of delay in receipt of consideration will be included in the value and chargeable to GST. Is it clear? So interest comes in two places: interest on loans, advances, deposits. So I give a loan for which I will recover the loan along with interest, or any advances, or I make a deposit in a bank for which I will be getting interest, fixed deposit interest or savings deposit interest, etc. That will be exempted. Is it clear or not? Then in the other place, interest for delay in receipt of consideration. So I will be giving you a credit period. You are not making payment on time. So what I will do, I will be charging some interest from you. So that interest for delay in receipt of consideration will be included in the value and chargeable to GST accordingly, which means it will become taxable. Okay. So now this interest which is collected by the del creditor agent, so del creditor agent is telling, as I am giving a finance facility like a loan, so therefore I am collecting this interest and this interest is exempted. This is the argument of del creditor agent. But what department is telling, you gave them a credit facility, because they are not paying on time, you are collecting the interest. So therefore that will come under interest for delay in receipt of consideration. So you need to pay GST on that interest. Now CBIC circular gives the clarity as to whether that interest will be taxable or exempted. Understood? What is the point of dispute? You understood? So what is that CBIC circular trying to convey to us? Whether that interest which is collected by the del creditor agent is taxable or exempted. Now the clarification says, if the del creditor agent is acting on behalf of principal, for example, there is one principal, I am the del creditor agent, you are my buyer. Okay. Now I am acting on behalf of principal means what? I will be raising invoice in my name to you, correct or not? I will be raising invoice in my name to you. Now in this case, for you, who is the supplier? Principal or agent? So whenever you give the interest, that is for delay in receipt of consideration. So therefore it will be chargeable to GST. Is it clear? Understood or not? Suppose if I am not raising the invoice to you, my principal is raising invoice to you who is the supplier? Agent or principal? Principal. Then I am just giving you a finance. So therefore you give me the interest, that is interest on loans or advances. So interest collected by del creditor agent divided into 2. If del creditor agent is raising invoice, then the interest will be chargeable to GST, include in the value and taxable accordingly. Suppose if del creditor agent is not raising the invoice, not acting on behalf of the principal, then in that case the interest collected by the del creditor agent will be exempted. Understood or not? So look into that. Taxability of interest income. Taxability of interest income, interest on loans or advances or deposits, taxable or exempted? Exempted. Interest on account of delay in receipt of consideration, included in value and chargeable to GST accordingly. Clear? Why sir I did not say taxable? Depends upon the value of the original supply. If the original transaction is exempted, this interest for delay in receipt of that is also exempted. If the original value is taxable, this interest for delay in receipt of consideration is also taxable. That's why I did not say taxable or exempted. I said included in value and chargeable to GST accordingly. Okay. So look into this. This related discussion I have made in value of supply. So here you give the page number reference if you want. Look into Illustration number 23. Illustration number 23 in page number 50. Look into illustration number 23 in page number 50. So interest will be included in the value. Means what will be the GST rate applicable to interest? Interest is included in the value, then what will be the GST rate applicable to interest? Whatever is the rate applicable to the main transaction. Okay, whatever is the rate applicable to the main transaction. This is the place where 99% of the students will make a mistake. So interest they will tax at 18%, treating it as other supply. Actually interest is not a separate supply. Interest is included in the value and chargeable to GST accordingly, means whatever is the rate applicable to the main supply for which we are collecting interest, so that rate will be applicable. Okay, so all your doubts will get clarified. See that illustration. Illustration number 23. Value of goods, GST rate is 12%, 1 lakh. So this is the value of goods. Whether these goods are taxable goods or exempted goods. And what is the value of that goods? What is the GST rate with respect to that goods? Now interest collected on account of delay in receipt of consideration is 3000 rupees. So generally interest rate on generally GST rate on services is 18%. Now that 3000 rupees is taxable at 18% or taxable at 12%? You understood or not? First of all, is that taxable or not? Yes. Why? This interest is for what? Delay in receipt of consideration towards taxable supply. So as the main supply is taxable, this interest also taxable. What is the tax rate applicable to the main supply? 12%. So this interest is also taxable at 12%. And interest usually taxed on inclusive basis. Only one place where we need to take the assumption that in the absence of information we need to compute GST on inclusive basis is this. So interest is usually assumed to be inclusive of GST. Inclusive of GST, how will you calculate? Into 12 divided by 112, 100 plus 12, so 112. So that is 321. Suppose in exam they give exclusive of GST, then 3000 into 12%. In the absence of that information, interest usually inclusive of GST. Okay. Then look into illustration 24. Tax invoice for July 2021, product A, product B and product C, rate of GST 12%, 18% and 5%. Value is 1,50,000 and 20,000, total 1,70,000. And GST is also there, sale price is also there. Delay in receipt of consideration, so that leads to interest 10,000 rupees. So delay in receipt of 1,92,000, due to which interest collected is 10,000. So now, what is the rate that you will take for 10,000? Proportionate basis. So that 10,000 you apportion between product A, product B and product C. So on what basis? Say value basis you take. So 10 by 17, 5 by 17 and 2 by 17, that 10,000 rupees. See, 10,000 rupees will be taxable or not? Yes. Why 10,000 will be taxable? The 10,000 is pertaining to the invoice. In that invoice we have all taxable supplies? Yes. So this interest is also included in the value and chargeable to GST, accordingly means taxable. But we have multiple rates. Suppose if there is only one rate, listen, don't sleep. If there is only one rate, we will be taking that rate. If there is multiple rates, what we will do? If there is multiple rates, what we will do? In what ratio we can proportion? Value ratio. So that is 10 by 17, 5 by 17, 2 by 17, you get the interest. So with respect to the first one, 5,882.35, that will be inclusive of what rate? 12% GST. Is it clear or not? So into 12 by 112. So 2,941.17, 18%, 18 by 118 and 1,176.47, 5 by 105. Is it clear? Sir, can't we take this 10,000 in this ratio also? Yes, we can. We can. There is no hard and fast rule. There is no hard and fast rule for apportionment. Either you can take value ratio or you can take the sale price after adding GST ratio also. Is it clear? Either you can take the value before GST ratio or you can take the sale price ratio and you can do the apportionment. there is nowhere it is given in the law that this way only you need to apportion, then this is based on common sense. Clear or not? So this is based on interpretation of the law. This is not based on any provision. Is it clear? So in exam, when you come across this kind of situation, so you take an assumption and whichever way you apportion, that is okay. Clear or not? So whichever is higher, whichever is lower, like that we cannot take. So we need to apportion and take the rate, because the rate applicable to the original supply, because interest is not a standalone supply, interest is included in the value of original supply, and for this we need to give a debit note, because interest we will be receiving after generating invoice or before generating invoice or during generating invoice. Definitely after generating the invoice, means this interest component will not be there in invoice, correct or not? So to recover that extra money, we need to give a debit note. What is the name of the document? Debit note needs to be issued. Clear here this one? Then next, illustration 25, product A 12%, product B exempted, value 1,50,000, GST only with respect to product A. Now interest on account of delay in receipt of 1,62,000 is 8,000. Now what you will do? Proportionately that 8,000 we will divide. So in the value 10 divided by 15, 5 divided by 15. Now you get 2 interest, but only one interest we need to pay GST. Why? Because the other interest is with respect to product B, which is an exempted product. For exempted product, interest is also exempted. For taxable product or taxable supply, interest is also taxable. Is it clear? So therefore 5,333 inclusive of 12% GST, whereas product B no GST. Interest income if taxable, assumed to be inclusive of GST unless otherwise specified. Clear or not? Highlight this. Interest income if taxable, assumed to be inclusive of GST unless otherwise specified. Now you got the clarity related to this inclusion. So is interest a separate transaction or separate supply? No. So what we need to do with respect to the interest? If it is on account of delay in receipt of consideration, we need to see whether the original supply against which this interest received is taxable or not. If the original supply against which this interest received is taxable, this interest also taxable. If the original supply against which this interest is received is exempted, then interest is also exempted. Understood? Then come back. So that is about the del creditor agent point. Then the next one, point number 5. Any doubt in this point number 4? Interest earned by del creditor agent, invoice raised by principal to buyer, means agent is not acting on behalf of principal. So therefore that interest will be exempted. An invoice raised by del creditor agent to buyer, means interest received by del creditor agent included in the value and chargeable to GST accordingly. Then taxability of hire purchase transaction. Listen. Hire purchase transaction versus hire purchase financing. So this difference we need to know. What happens in a hire purchase transaction? There will be two parties, hire vendor and hire purchaser. So you will be taking the asset on hire purchase. You will be paying installment. Upon payment of last installment, so I will transfer the title to you. So this will be treated as supply of goods and I need to pay GST on what? Cash price or hire purchase price? You understood my question? I will be receiving installments from you and upon payment of last installment I will be transferring the title to you. So this is supply of goods. Now there are two questions before me. Question number 1, whether GST payable on cash price or hire purchase price, whether GST payable at the time of possession or at the time of transfer of title. You understood or not? So whether GST payable on cash price or hire purchase price. First, the interest is there. What is the difference between cash price and hire purchase price? Interest. Whether that interest is for delay in receipt of consideration or interest on loans and advances. No, that interest is for delay in receipt of consideration. That interest is for delay in receipt of consideration, because who is giving you the finance facility? Seller himself. If there is a financier involved, Bajaj Finance, HDB, Capital First, like that some financier involved, then he is giving finance. But when the supplier himself is giving finance, which means that supplier is collecting the money late. Understood or not? Supplier is collecting the money late. So then it will be coming under what? So delay in receipt of consideration. So that interest will be included in the value and chargeable to GST accordingly. Is it clear or not? So therefore, at the time when we sell the asset, at the time when we give the asset, actually, okay, give the asset possession, we need to pay GST on cash price. Very, very important here. If this and all is tested, you know, so it will be like a jackpot for us. Others will not at all write, because everyone will be focusing on the other areas, sections, rules and all, but they will frame questions on the circulars. So they know, they don't want the student to clear. That's the sole objective. You understood or not? So therefore they will be finding these areas and they will be making questions. And like this study material, nowhere it is given. They have just given like few lines, paragraph wise. If you read, no, you will not understand anything out of that. So please listen here, please listen. If at all you get this question, you should not make mistake. That is, at the time of possession, transfer of possession, at the time of transfer of possession, GST payable on cash price, whereas there is an unearned interest income, correct or not? What is unearned interest income? Higher purchase price minus cash price is known as unearned interest income. That unearned interest income is taxable on receipt basis. Then what should I do? Apportion that interest over the life of hire purchase. Every month we will be receiving installment. In that installment, see what is the interest component. So this calculation somewhere in your CA intermediate you would have done in hire purchase. How that interest income we will be taking for every year, correct or not? So like that, that interest income you divide over the number of months, and every month how much interest you are receiving. So on that only we need to pay GST. Why sir, on interest we are paying GST on receipt basis? Because there is a time of supply provision section 12.6 and 13.6 which says that interest on delay in receipt of consideration is taxable on receipt basis. In GST, everywhere we need to pay GST on accrual basis. But in case of interest on delay in receipt of consideration, we need to pay GST on receipt basis. Understood here? Now see this hire purchase versus hire purchase financing. There is a machinery. The cash price of the machinery is 40,000 rupees. Payable in installments of 4,000 each for 12 months. Now what is the hire purchase price? 4,000 into 12, 48,000. So 48,000 minus 40,000, interest income is 8,000. Now in hire purchase transaction there are two parties. Who are those two parties? Hire vendor and hire purchaser. So now GST payable on 40,000 at the time of delivery of machinery. So whenever possession is given, at that time GST payable on 40,000. What is that? Cash price. But interest income how much? 8,000. Will that interest income 8,000 be taxable or not? Yes. That will be taxable on what basis? Accrual basis or receipt basis? Receipt basis. Means that 8,000 you need to divide over 12 months. How will you divide over 12 months? There are multiple methods. So if you know the interest, you will take the interest rate and you will compute, or you will take the sum of years digit method, correct or not? So like the different methods are there for the purpose of apportioning this interest over a period of 12 months, and that particular month how much is the interest into the rate of GST by 100 plus rate of GST is the GST payable. Is it clear? See there, chargeable to GST on receipt basis for a period of 12 months. And why this interest income will be taxable? Because this is for interest on account of delay in receipt of consideration. Understood? I don't know what you understood. I assume that you understood and I proceed. Okay. Hire purchase financing. What if it is hire purchase financing? In hire purchase financing, what will happen? There will be three parties. hire vendor, constant, hire purchaser, constant, we have a financier. So now of late we don't have hire purchase transactions prevalent in India. Of late all of them are going into hire purchase financing only. I will tell you the reason why. When a financier comes into the picture, for the supplier there is no risk of bad debts. Hire vendor, there is no risk of bad debts. Happily he will get his money. Correct or not? So that 40,000 rupees he will receive now itself. And the financier anyhow is ready to take that risk, and for that he will get that 8,000 rupees as the interest income. Okay. And how that financier will be able to take that risk? So financier just like that will not take that risk. So they will be checking about the credit history of that person. So the CIBIL will be verified, and thereafter so they will be having enough of money in order to do this financing, and they know how much turnover that person is making. All the data will be there about that person, and even they have some recovery agents, factoring agents in order to recover this money. So therefore a financier will come forward. Okay. Now lot of people are going into the finance, okay, including this clear tax. Clear tax, you know, clear tax started as a return outsourcing. So they used to file returns, and GST returns, income tax returns they started. Now they are venturing into capital financing. They are going into the financing because they have the details of every person. What here? Today data is the king. Every income tax return, GST return they have. So now for them they will be offering the facility, finance facility, because they know how much income tax that person is paying, how much GST that person is paying, all the data is available. So when the data is available, then definitely you can give loans to them. So therefore like that they have started giving finance facility also. So now financing is completely a different type, only they should do. So the seller should focus on his business. So that's why they go for hire purchase financing. So now in hire purchase financing what will happen? The seller as usual will pay GST on 40,000 at the time of sale. Then who is receiving installments of 4,000 each for a period of 12 months? Financier. So in that 4,000 there is principal, there is interest. Principal not a supply. Why principal not a supply? Transaction in money, not a consideration. But transaction in money for a separate consideration, that interest is separate consideration, correct or not? That will become supply of service. So transaction in money, neither goods nor services, but transaction in money for a separate consideration. That separate consideration is treated as supply of service. But that interest is exempted. Interest on loans, advances, deposits. Will it come under interest on loans, advances, deposits? Yes. This will come on interest on loans, advances, deposits. Therefore, it is exempted. Got the clarity? The same bloody difference is there when you go for a consumer durable loan and a credit card converting into EMI. Never use your credit card, purchase and convert into EMI. The day when you purchase through credit card and convert into EMI, on that EMI interest there is GST, because interest on credit card is taxable. Interest on credit card is not exempted, interest on credit card is taxable. Only interest on loans and advances other than interest in credit card is only exempted, but interest on credit cards will be taxable. So therefore you wanted to buy a mobile, say 60,000 rupees is that mobile, purchased, converted into EMI. Now you will be paying the EMI. Of course if it is no cost EMI, okay, go for it. If it is no cost EMI, definitely go for it, because there is no extra cost that you will be having. But if it is a cost EMI, there is some interest that is involved. So when you convert into EMI, you will be paying that interest. On that interest there is GST. If the same amount you take a consumer durable loan, so there are a lot of financiers who will be sitting inside that mobile shop. So if you take a consumer durable loan from them, so they will also be collecting some interest, but that interest will be exempted. So therefore your total cost, if you see, so when you take a consumer durable loan, the cost will come down rather than purchasing from credit card and converting into EMI. Understood? Got the clarity? Reason, same reason. Same reason. So interest on credit cards will be taxable. So therefore whenever they collect that EMI, in that if you see on interest there will be GST. Any credit card statement you see, EMI principal, EMI interest, like that they will bifurcate. That EMI interest, on that interest portion again there will be CGST, SGST. Okay. Then, so you write down there itself one note. Interest involved in credit cards, interest involved in credit cards, interest involved in credit cards is not exempted. Interest involved in credit cards is not exempted. Okay. Then look into the next one, priority sector lending certificates, PSLC. What are these priority sector lending certificates? See, first we need to understand what is the priority sector loans. Every bank has to give a priority sector loan. So if they accept public deposits, the priority sector loan is housing loan, education loan, MSME loan, startup loan, and women. Okay, so women, if they are making any business, so that loans, all these will be coming under priority sector loan, loan to farmers, loan to agriculture. So every bank which is accepting public deposits, first of all, bank means they will accept deposits and give loans, correct or not? So the day when they accept public deposits, RBI puts a condition on them that they need to give a prescribed percentage of their public deposits as loans to the priority sector. They need to give that loans. Suppose if they are not giving that loans, next year the license to operate as a bank will be cancelled. So if they need to give that loans, because see, priority sector will not get loans that easily. So financing companies will not be interested in giving loans to the priority sector, correct? So therefore they need to go to the nationalized banks to get the loans. So these nationalized banks also, if they are not giving, because there is a huge risk here, MSME, startups, education loans, housing loans, huge risk is there. It's not that easy to recover the money once they give for education loan. So lot of engineers today, they qualified, but they are not able to repay the education loan. They are telling what we are earning itself is 10,000, 15,000 rupees. You check our financials. So then what loan we will give? How we can survive? So therefore government, state government will go for their rescue, and state government will say, okay, waive off the loan. So central government also make that scheme for every 5 years, that that is a vote bank. So therefore they have to waive off this loan. So no bank will be interested to give loans to this sector, but they have to give, otherwise they will not get the loans, they cannot borrow money. So that's the reason why RBI puts a condition that 30% to 40%, that's the range usually, say 30%. 100 crores I have accepted as deposits during the financial year. Out of that 30 crores I have to give as loans to the priority sector. I could not give 30 crores loans to the priority sector. Then what will happen? So whatever is the shortfall, I need to at least buy a priority sector lending certificate from a bank which has overachieved the priority sector loan. One bank will be there, they would have overachieved. So when they have overachieved, I will be buying the priority sector lending certificate from them. So that day when I buy the priority sector lending certificate by giving the money to them, which means that indirectly I gave the loan to the priority sector to that extent. You understood or not? So this is not transfer of loans. This is not transfer of loans. Just purchasing the priority sector lending certificate. So in order to meet the condition, you can see that in the next page. I gave an illustration, page number 18, illustration number 4. Have a look into that. Messrs. Lena Dena Bank. RBI gave a license to that bank with the condition that 30% of the deposits to be granted as loans to the priority sector. So what is loans to the priority sector? Housing loan, education loan, MSME, startup, etc. Now, for the financial year 2021, the deposits is 100 crores and the loan to priority sector is 20 crores. So what is the shortfall? How shortfall 10 crore? How much they need to give loan? 30. So how much they gave? So shortfall is 10. Now on the other side, HDFC Bank licensed with the same condition, and HDFC Bank has accepted a deposits of 1000 crores. Loan to priority sector 380. So 1000 into 30%. So 1 second here, make it 1200 crores. So 1200 into 30%, how much? 360, but they made 380. So what is the excess? 20 crores. You understood or not? How we got excess 20 crores? That is 1200 into 30% will be 360 crores. So 360 and 380. So they have excess achieved 20 crores. Now what Lena Dena Bank will do? Will buy priority sector lending certificate from HDFC Bank. So how it will be sold? Through e-Kuber portal of RBI. RBI has launched a e-Kuber portal. Through that e-Kuber portal, every bank which has overachieved the priority sector loan will be giving the priority sector lending certificate and raise the capital. Okay. So therefore, HDFC Bank will be selling the priority sector lending certificate and Lena Dena Bank will be buying. So Lena Dena Bank will transfer 10 crores to HDFC Bank. Now what is the revised loan to the priority sector by Lena Dena Bank? 30 achieved. What is the revised loan by HDFC to priority sector? 370 crores. 380 minus 10, 370 crores. Now what is the advantage? HDFC Bank got the liquidity now. So to the extent of 10 crores they got, and again that can be given as loan to some other person. Is it clear or not? Then sir, what happens upon maturity? That is, that loan will be collected, na? So once that loan is collected, that amount will be returned back to the Lena Dena Bank and the priority sector lending certificate will be cancelled. Is it clear? Not that the one who has taken the loan has to make the payment of 10 crores to Lena Dena Bank. They will pay to HDFC. This is not transfer of loan. Try to understand, this is not transfer of loans. This is sale of priority sector lending certificate to the extent they have overachieved, so that a liquidity will be created. So now the bank got some 10 crores which they can give as loans to some other person and generate some interest. Na, for that purpose they have brought this. And because of this, what is the another advantage to the buying bank? The buying bank will be able to achieve the condition for which next year they can continue with the license. Clear? Now in this background, that sale of PSLC is there, na, sale of priority sector lending certificate. Many people are of the opinion that it is securities, neither goods nor services, but no, it is goods. It is goods. That is not securities, it is goods. So it will be chargeable to GST, and IGST is payable because as the sale takes place through the e-Kuber platform, online platform, they will not know the location of supplier, place of supply, etc. So this will always be treated as interstate supply and chargeable to IGST, and it is covered under RCM. Okay, it is covered under RCM. Then who will pay? Which bank will pay? Lena Dena Bank will pay. So deemed as interstate supply of goods, and it will be taxable under RCM. But actually RCM related to goods you don't have in syllabus. Only RCM related to services you have in syllabus. But this is one point you learn. Nothing wrong in remembering one extra point. No. Again the money is paid to Lena Dena Bank. So therefore Lena Dena Bank transfer the PSLC. Is that your doubt? They will not transfer the PSLC. The PSLC will be cancelled. There won't be any transfer. Only one time sale. Okay. What input tax credit? Now cancellation, there is no supply involved. If there is a supply involved, reversal, all these things will arise. Correct. Consumption. Okay. Now whatever GST that Lena Dena Bank has paid, can they take it as ITC? Can they take it as ITC? Yes. Bank will have a GST liability. Yes. But full ITC they cannot take, only proportionate ITC they can take, because bank's outward supply is not fully taxable. Bank will have two types of income, interest income and other income. Interest income is exempted. Just now we discussed cum tais. Interest on loans, advances, deposits is exempted. So therefore interest income is exempted and the other income will be taxable. So full credit they cannot enjoy. Why full credit they cannot enjoy? When my outward supply is taxable, I can take ITC. When my outward supply is exempted, I cannot take ITC. When my outward supply is both taxable and exempted, I will take proportionate ITC. Clear or not? So we completed PSLC and this Del Creator agent also. Now look into some other circulars. What happened here? AC is not working. Sir, off this AC also. Same feeling for me also. Don't off everything. Then everyone will sleep. Actually, when it is too cold, we cannot sleep. You know that? So it's better. Okay, listen here. Come back. It off. Okay, listen, please. The remaining 3 circulars, with this portion will be over. Please see whether the activity of bus body building is supply of goods or supply of services. What happens in bus body building? So there will be a chassis and the tires and the engine, driver seat, etc. sold by the bus manufacturer, but the entire body needs to be fabricated, and therefore this is known as bus body building. So the entire structure, whatever we see as a bus, that entire structure will be fabricated structure. Now in this case, whether that bus body building will be supply of goods or supply of services. Now what is that they do? They buy the material required for fabrication of the structure and they do the welding or fabrication and they will fix the structure. Now there are 2 elements. Goods element is there, the material used for fabrication, and fabrication or installation is the service. What constitutes principal supply? Accordingly you need to classify. So out of these 2, what constitutes principal supply? Service, because the fabrication is only the principal supply or installation is only principal supply, not the material. If material is there and if you say come on do like this, it will do. No, we have to do. So we have to make that, we have to weld it, we have to cut it. So therefore all this is the predominant element, therefore it will be coming under supply of service only. Clear? Understood? That is that here, determined on the basis of principal supply involved in the transaction. Suppose it is like fixing of AC only. Already bus is there, in the bus body building they fix only ACs. Now what constitutes principal supply? Goods. Why? AC and installation is just the ancillary there. You understood? Then painting. So bus usually they will change the painting. Suppose if that is a tour operator, so during this December season and all, okay, so that bus will be painted with full of God images, okay, Lord Ayyappa, etc. and all images they will paint. During the May and April they will put some birds, one baby photo, etc. Hope you can understand. So therefore because summer holidays they will go on vacation, so at that time and all God photo should not be there on the bus. So painting will usually be changed, keep on changing. Now one bus provider so brought that to the bus body building shop for doing the painting. So now only painting work is done. So whether it is supply of goods or supply of service? Service. Why? So painting is the principal supply, not the paint. Okay. Then look into the next one. Rethreading of tires is supply of goods or supply of services? Whether rethreading of tires is supply of goods or supply of service. What is rethreading, sir? That is usually big lorries. So they will be using the vehicle on a huge basis, because of which the grip on the tire will be lost. If they need to buy a new tire, one tire will be 40,000, 50,000 rupees. So that much they cannot invest. So therefore what they do, they go for rethreading. That is, they give the old tire, to that old tire a grip will be pasted. That is known as rethreading. The tire manufacturer only will do the rethreading process also. So just because this rethreading is done, will it become supply of goods or supply of services is the question. What is your answer? You gave me old tire, I did the rethreading and I gave you the rethreaded tire. Supply of goods or supply of service? Service. You sold me old tire, I sold you the rethreaded tire. Because in a highway, there won't be a manufacturer, na? There will be one shop. So in that shop, you give the old tire and you immediately buy the rethreaded tire, like an exchange. So now in this case, that sale of rethreaded tire is supply of goods or supply of service? Goods. See that. Supply of rethreaded tires where the old tires belongs to the supplier of rethreaded tires is a supply of goods. If the old tires belongs to recipient, then it is treated as supply of service. Understood? You gave me the old tire, you sold me the old tire, I sold you the rethreaded tire, supply of goods. The old tire belongs to the supplier of rethreaded tires. Okay. Now, you gave me the old tire, you are not selling the old tire. I did only the process, the old tire belongs to you only. I did only the process, then it will be coming under supply of service. Both will be there here. Some dealers will give the old tires and get the rethreading done from the manufacturer. So now the manufacturer will do only the rethreading process. Manufacturer will not buy the old tire. So this will be a case of supply of service. The dealer, when he takes the old tire, purchases the old tire from the lorry owner and sells the rethreaded tire, there it will come under supply of goods. Then last circular, whether the artwork which is sent by the artist to the art gallery chargeable to GST immediately at the time when the artwork is sent or at a later point of time. Later point of time. Reason simple. First there will be an artist who will be making lot of artworks. So how this artwork can be sold? It will be kept in an art gallery. Some people who have lot of money don't know how to spend will go to the art gallery and they will be seeing one artwork and they only will understand what is there in that artwork and they will be making purchase. Until that point of time, the sale will not happen, and this situation whatever I have said will happen once in a year or once in 2 years. Artwork is not toothpaste or soap to buy on a daily basis. So therefore in this case, so only when the artwork is sold by the art gallery, the money will be paid to the artist. Why? An art gallery will invest on to the inventory and maintain it. They know that the stock will not be moved. So all the artwork which are there in the art gallery, they will not buy. They will tell to the artist to keep that. Only when sale happens, they will be making payment to the artist. So then when artists send the art gallery to the artwork, we cannot treat it as supply now, because artist will receive money only when the artwork gets sold from the art gallery. So due to that reason, the GST is payable at the time when the artwork is actually sold, but not at the time when artist is sending the art gallery. Got it? It is only when the buyer selects a particular artwork displayed at the gallery that the actual supply takes place, and applicable GST would be payable at the time of such supply. Okay? When? At the time when this sale takes place. Okay? So this we completed supply concept block number 2, and concept block number 3 already we have completed. Composite supply, mixed supply. Look into the next area, liability to pay tax. Yes, sir. Goods. All intangibles are goods. Artwork is tangible, goods only. Even intangibles, it is goods. Patent, trademark, copyright is also goods, na? When? Permanent transfer. Permanent transfer. Okay. Artwork is no doubt goods, paintings and artworks. Look into the next concept block, a very important area, liability to pay tax. That is, once we know that a transaction is supply, the next thing that we need to know is whether it is taxable or exempted. So when it is taxable, again it may be FCM or RCM. Actually RCM is specified, FCM is balancing figure. So that's why we are going to learn the RCM. Understood or not? What are the services which are covered under reverse charge mechanism is what we are going to learn now. because only in these cases it will be reverse charge mechanism, all cases it will be forward charge mechanism. Is it clear? So this liability to pay tax is given in section 9 of CGST Act. Section 7 is, 8 is, section 9 is liability to pay tax, and section 9 subsection 1 says on alcoholic liquor for human consumption there is no GST. So already we discussed, permanently excluded from the ambit of GST. Section 9 subsection 2 says that on petroleum products there is no GST until the time GST council decides. So that also we have discussed. 9 subsection 3, 9 subsection 4 and 9 subsection 5 is what we are going to discuss in this concept block. 3 subsections, 9.3, 9.4 and 9.5. So first we will try to understand what is this 9.3, 9.4 and 9.5. Please listen, I am just giving you a brief background about this. 9.3 is there are some notified goods and notified services. In case of that notified goods and notified services, supplier will not pay GST to government, only recipient will pay GST to government. Is it clear? So what is 9.3? There are some notified goods and notified services. In case of that notified goods and services, supplier will not pay GST, but who will pay GST to government? Recipient will pay GST to government. That is 9.3. What are those notified? We need to learn. Okay. And then in that notified goods, not in syllabus, notified service is only in syllabus. Notified goods excluded for ICI final exam, and notified services is only there for you. Then 9 subsection 4. 9 subsection 4 is applicable whenever we make purchases or inward supply from an unregistered person. So there is a registered person who makes inward supply from an unregistered person. So on that inward supply, the registered recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. Right now this is applicable only in case of a promoter or builder in real estate sector. It is not applicable for all. Right now it is applicable only to a promoter or builder in real estate sector, but not applicable for others. Okay, what is that? So whenever a registered person makes inward supply from a unregistered person, they need to pay GST under RCM. That is 9 subsection 4. And 9 subsection 5, there are some notified services, and these notified services provided through e-commerce operator. On that services, supplier will not pay GST, recipient will not pay GST to government, but the e-commerce operator will pay GST to government. That is known as supplies through e-commerce operator. And what are those notified services we will be learning, but that is about 9 subsection 5. In 9 subsection 5, who will pay GST to government? E-commerce operator will pay GST to government. All transactions are notified services. Notified services. Okay. Now, that is the chart I have given about what is 9.3, what is 9.4 and what is 9.5. So again we will come back to this chart later and we will refer to this. So now look into 9 subsection 3. 9 subsection 3 is what? There are some notified goods and notified services. On these notified goods and service, who will pay GST to government? Recipient will pay GST to government. And in that, goods we don't have in syllabus, so leave it. Services we have, and the list of services which are covered under RCM is given in notification number 13 of 2017. So whenever you are writing that this service is a service covered under RCM, what is the legal reference that you will give? As per section 9 subsection 3 read with notification number 13 2017. Once more, as per section 9 subsection 3 read with notification number 13 2017. 13 2017, 13 2017, 13 2017, 13 2017. Okay. And reason, it is RCM. What's there to write? The service is covered under RCM. What explanation will you write? So you have to write the said service is notified for the purpose of liability to pay GST by the recipient under section 9 subsection 3 read with notification 13 2017. That is the weightage. Clear or not? So now this notification 13 2017 is the reference that you give whenever you are writing about section 9 subsection 3. What are the list of notified services which are covered under RCM? A big list is there. So this big list you can remember with a keyword, Sir CG got salads. Okay. So this big list we can remember with this keyword, Sir CG got salads. Yes, for security lending. In case of security lending, there is no exemptions. If there is any exemptions to that, that exemptions also we are going to cross check and discuss. Clear? So this concept block we are going to discuss in connection with exemptions concept block also. So the exemptions concept block is in where is that here? 173. 173. Okay. So 173, that concept block number 12 is there na. So this RCM discussion will be in connection with that exemptions concept block. Okay. So these two are shaded actually. So first, an activity, if it is exempted, no RCM. Only when it is taxable, the RCM will come into picture. So what are the exempted that we will be learning first, and then in the remaining cases where RCM and where FCM. You understood or not? Because in exam you will be tested with the questions like this only. They will not give in the following cases who is liable to pay GST, not that. So therefore, so they will be giving some situations. First we need to know in that situation, is it an exempted supply or a taxable supply? Once it is taxable supply, who is liable to pay GST? That clarity we need to know. That's why. Okay. So there will be like shifting between the pages. So please, you can give the cross reference of the page numbers that we refer. So first, for security lending there is no cross reference. Security lending we don't have any exemption, but try to understand what is security lending. Security lending is a situation where I have shares of one company. Say I have shares of Asian Paints. So Asian Paints is a very good company which gives a very good return, and I am a long term investor. I have invested in the shares of Asian Paints. Now these shares I don't want to keep it idle. It is there in my demat account. What I will be getting? I will be getting a dividend and I will get a capital appreciation. But still I want to use these shares. What I can do? I can deposit these shares with the stock exchange. I can deposit the shares with the stock exchange, and the stock exchange will be giving the shares on rent. The stock exchange will give the shares on rent. How shares will be given on rent? They will do. That is the scheme, security lending scheme. So stock exchange will give the shares on rent. To whom they will be giving on rent? So this side you understood, now my side. Now on the other side you see. Say you are a person who entered into a short position, that is you made a sell order, but you don't have the shares with you. Then what will you do? Short sales. Short sales. What will happen if you are not delivering? You placed a sell order, you placed a buy order. Buy order not got executed. The sell order got executed. Short sale. You need to deliver the shares. If you need to deliver the shares, because if you buy today also, you will not get the shares tomorrow, because T+1 is the trading cycle. So therefore the next day the settlement will happen. If the settlement happen next day, even if you buy the next day also, so there is no guarantee that the shares will be credited to your demat account. Then if the shares are not there, then the clearing house will inform the stock exchange, for which a huge penalty will be levied on your demat account. Okay. So due to that reason, so what you can do, you can borrow the shares from the stock exchange and you can complete the delivery. Okay, what you will do, you will borrow the shares from the stock exchange and you will complete the delivery of the shares. So when you complete the delivery of the shares, so you have avoided the penalty that is levied. Okay, but as you borrowed the shares, you have to repay the shares. How will you repay the shares? Place the buy order and the buy order gets executed. Now place the buy order at market price, because when you place the buy order at a specified price, it will not get executed. So when you place the buy order at market price, it will definitely get executed. So therefore you get the shares and you return the shares, and for the period of this 3 days or 4 days what you have borrowed, so you need to give the lending fee. Is it clear? This lending fee will be collected by the stock exchange and remitted to me. Now anyhow these shares are idle, as I deposited these shares with the stock exchange, I could generate a revenue called as lending fee. Is it clear here? On this lending fee, who will pay GST? On this lending fee, GST payable by the borrower, not the lender. I am the lender, so you are the borrower. You need to pay GST under RCM, not the stock exchange also. Stock exchange is just an intermediary who is doing this, for which they charge me a commission, that's a different transaction. So stock exchange will charge a commission to me, that's a different transaction. On that, stock exchange will pay the GST and recover it from me, that's a different transaction, that is between me and the stock exchange. But in this security lending, so you need to pay GST under RCM because you don't know who is the supplier. Sir, you are doing this through stock exchange, you don't know who I am. So you need to pay lending fee, whatever lending fee you have paid, on that you need to pay GST under RCM. Invoice, no invoice concept here. There is no invoice concept here, that is raised by the supplier to recipient, that's why they brought it under RCM, wherein the recipient has to pay GST under RCM. So when their supplier is required to pay any GST on that, when recipient is paying GST, why supplier again has to pay GST on that lending fee. Is it clear? Yes, any doubt in this? Got the clarity? Really understood, yeah? Super. So security lending as per SEBI, in case of security lending, who will pay GST? Borrower of the security will pay GST on the lending fee that is paid by the borrower. Then import of services. Import of services we have come across in two places in section 7. What is that? 7.1b. What is 7.1b? Import of services for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business or not, then it is supply under 7.1b. Import of services from a related person or another establishment located outside India without consideration in the course or furtherance of business constitutes supply under 7.1c. Once it becomes supply, we have some exemptions with respect to import of services, and then RCM, FCM we have, okay, that part we are going to discuss. So here you give the page number reference, okay, so we are referring to OIDR services in exemptions 187. 187, please give the reference of page number 187. Please give the reference of page number 187. Okay, and go to page number 187. For next half an hour we will not come back, so don't worry, take that page itself. So page number 187. OIDR services other than OIDR service. What is OIDR? Online information database access and retrieval services, that is OIDR, but I didn't ask that, I asked what is the meaning of that. Okay, example also you can give. Netflix is an example of OIDR service. Okay, what happens in Netflix is that the service is mediated through internet, correct? Without internet, can the service be provided? No. Okay, and it is automated or requires any physical interface or human intervention? Automated. So any service that is mediated through internet and requires, and it is automated, so that is, it is mediated through internet and it is automated, is known as OIDR service. So can you give me some more examples? Amazon, Amazon. Apart from OTT, you give anything else? Google Drive, super. Cloud storage. OTT platform is an example of OIDR. Then cloud storage, not necessarily Google Drive. Then Apple iCloud also, or Microsoft OneDrive also, all these cloud storage will come under OIDR because it is mediated through internet and it is automated. Auto sync will happen, you are not manually doing anything. So once you sync that to your local system, so all the data will automatically be synced to your server. So that is an example of OIDR. Then online live classes. Online live classes will come under OIDR? No, because if faculty is not there, they will not be able to see, so it is not automated. Yes, it is mediated through internet, but if the faculty is not there, they will not be able to see, so which means that it is not a OIDR. Okay, Google Drive class? No, because internet is not required, because service is not mediated through internet. You will download, no? Yes or no? Once you download, at the time when you receive the service, it should be completely mediated through internet. Okay, so then only it will be called as OIDR. So Google Drive, once you download it, so thereafter when you activate it, so activation and continuation of the service do not require internet, na? Correct or not? So therefore again it will not be coming under OIDR service. So Dream 11, what service is mediated there? Automated, right? It is. Yes, it is mediated through internet. Is it automated? I don't think so. It is automated. Huh? That is OIDR, just like OTT platforms. That is OIDR. Dream 11, I doubt whether it is automated or not here, because someone should be there to create that pool, na? Someone should be there to create that. Okay, what type of that pools they need to create. So therefore, it is not automated. And OIDR service means what? A service which is mediated through internet and requires no human intervention or automated. That is known as OIDR service. Okay, and other than OIDR service. So it is import of OIDR and other than OIDR service. If it is OIDR service, always it is taxable. OIDR service is always taxable. However, if the recipient is non-taxable online recipient, supplier outside India will pay GST. If the recipient is other than non-taxable online recipient, the recipient only will pay GST. Who is a non-taxable online recipient? Any person importing services for personal or non-business purpose and is unregistered is known as a non-taxable online recipient. Is it clear or not? Who is a non-taxable online recipient? Any unregistered person importing service for what purpose? Personal or non-business purpose will come under non-taxable online recipient. So please see there in the next page, NTOR, non-taxable online recipient. Any person who is unregistered and importing service for any purpose other than business or commerce is known as non-taxable online recipient. Okay, now that is what I told you. Amazon Prime or Netflix subscription when you are taking, so it will be import of services. And OIDR or not? Yes, it is OIDR. And you are non-taxable online recipient or not? Yes, you are an unregistered person and you are not importing for any business purpose for other than business or commerce. So in that case, who will pay GST? Netflix or Amazon will pay GST. Sir, they are located outside India. Yes, even then they need to register and they need to pay GST. What if they are not complying with the law of this country? What if they are not paying GST? Simple. So their app will be deleted. That's what. What if they are not doing that? What if they are not paying GST? So for us, deleting the apps is easy, no? Yes, sir. So many apps got deleted. So like that, government will give instructions to the Google and Apple that if at all we need to allow you to provide your services in this country, then you need to listen to us. So whatever apps we are telling, you need to ban those apps in this country. So automatically that Netflix app and Amazon Prime app will be banned. Okay, but why will they lose the business? Why will they lose the business? So they will comply with the law, correct or not? So therefore they will comply with the law, and what they will do, they will register in India. Sir, if they register in India, then it is no more import of service, na? They are in India. No, they will register in India. They will not shift their server to India and all. They will not shift their server and all to India. Just they will register in India. All operations will be from outside India only. Okay. So just they will be registering in India for the purpose of payment of GST. That's it. Okay. Then what if the recipient is other than non-taxable online recipient? For example, you take this cloud storage services or cloud computing services. So Zoho Books, QuickBooks, etc. will come under OIDR or not? Yes or no, yaar? Yes, it will come under OIDR services, and in that case, so import of services and mediated through internet, and it is automated, so it will be coming under OIDR, and it is imported by whom? Non-taxable online recipient. No, majorly other than non-taxable online recipient for business purpose, correct or not? Sir, for normal sake, if we need to maintain accounts, Excel sheet will do, or one normal paper will do, correct or not? The two small shopkeepers, cigarette paper will do. There itself they will complete the entire financials. You understood or not? Have you seen that? So small merchants, a small this cigarette wrapper will be there. No, on the back side it will be white. So there itself they will complete the entire financials. They will put a rubber band and they will keep in their pocket. That itself is the accounts for them. You understood or not? So therefore, why they will be going for this quick books, Zoho books or cloud computing and all. So definitely they are business. So when they are doing business, they will only do the import of service. So let them register and pay GST. What if they are unregistered? Using for business purpose, they are unregistered. Using for business purpose, but they are unregistered. Compulsorily they are required to get registered and pay GST. Is it clear or not? Sir, 9 subsection 3 says that whenever you are covered under RCM, compulsory registration under section 24 is attracted. You need to compulsorily get registered and pay GST. Is it clear or not? So now, come back to that. OIDR service by non-taxable online recipient, by other than non-taxable online recipient. You understood this part? First branch. Yes. Now second branch. Other than OIDR service. Can you give me an example? Import of other than OIDR service. Okay, consultancy services. That can be health consultancy or management consultancy services. Then we have even softwares, correct? Lot of softwares are being imported. Na? You take Office, Microsoft Office 365. Okay, so all softwares are being imported, and then we have this, donations. How donations? How that will be import of service? Are we providing any service against the donation? Okay, so diet services, dietitian services, physical trainer services, because what has happened of late, people don't wanted to follow the diet what is prescribed by people in India. Everything it is imported. Okay, there is like foreign people started using black water because of the water scarcity there. Black water. Have you come across black water? No. So Virat Kohli, then Karan Johar, lot of Bollywood celebrities are consuming black water. Just like drainage water, if you put in one bottle, how it will be, like that it will be black in color. Okay, and you know what is 1 liter? It is 450 rupees. 450 rupees. For us, 10 liters is 30 rupees. Can. Okay, you understood? And people are importing that. So diet. So this dietitian or fitness, etc., all these are being imported. So this will come under other than OIDR services. If this other than OIDR services imported by non-taxable recipient, here it is non-taxable recipient. Who is a non-taxable recipient? Only 3: individual, trust, government. Okay, who is non-taxable recipient? Who is non-taxable recipient? Individual, trust, government. Individual, unregistered. Trust, registered or unregistered under GST. Government, registered or unregistered under GST. Individual importing for personal purpose, and trust importing for charitable activities, and government importing the services for other than business or commerce. Then they will come under non-taxable recipient. I gave that in the next page. Have a look into that. Non-taxable recipient. There is one chart you can see. Individual, unregistered person importing service for personal purpose. Say Mr. Arvind, a CA student, subscribed for Office 365. Yes, import of service personal. Okay, so not home and personal license is there, na? So that license. Sir, where sir? We will import. We download everything from the cracked only. Okay, you also tell No OTT platform and a Microsoft Office, nothing sir. OTT platform alternative we have Telegram sir. Then for this all softwares and all we will download the crack sir, 1 rupee also we will not pay. Suppose if you pay, okay, you understood or not, and subscribe for Office 365, then it will be import by non-taxable recipient and it is exempted. Import of other than OIDR service by non-taxable recipient is exempted. Then government importing services for other than business or commerce. Government can be registered and unregistered under GST. They are importing for what purpose? Other than business or commerce. Example, say, Prime Minister need to communicate with the chief ministers. Video conferencing. During COVID we saw that, na? So for that video conferencing solution will be imported. So for what purpose? Business or commerce? No. For the purpose of welfare of the country, that is not business or commerce. So it will be again coming under non-taxable recipient. Okay. So video 360-degree video conferencing solutions imported from Cisco WebEx. Then a charitable trust. Charitable trust can be registered and unregistered. Importing service for charitable activities. For example, Swami Nityananda is there. So Swami Nityananda is importing architect services for construction of Kailasa for advancement of spirituality. You understood or not? So this will be coming under import of services by a charitable trust for charitable activities. Okay. So that will also come under non-taxable recipient and it is exempted. Okay. These idiots and all will get exempted. From morning I am standing and taking class. Whatever little money I earn, I have to pay GST. Stupidity, no? Bloody beggars, they will sit in one corner, enjoy with babes and they will be exempted from GST. What nonsense is this? Okay. So, on import of service, no need to pay GST here. Exempted. Non-taxable recipient. Okay. So, we will take a break and thereafter we have an assignment related to this. That assignment we will discuss. Okay. So, we will meet at 10:15 sharp. Okay, 11:18, sorry.